Hey everybody, this is Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com. For all things Vespa, check us out on the web, ScooterWest.com. So here I got a Vespa GTS 300, and you're looking for a simple mod to make the safety from behind just a little bit better. You know, maybe you have distracted drivers on your commute to work, or you're cruising around. You just want to make it a little safer, decrease your chances of getting hit. Well, I got a simple, easy to install mod for your brake light. So I'll show you what it does. Pretty much turn on your tail light. It's already installed on this GTS. Go ahead and pull the brake. And it's a modulator. It's a fully programmable modulator, so you could change the rate of the flashes, which is pretty cool, pretty inexpensive. And you can find it on the Scooter West web store. So just search Scooter West MI101B or just brake light modulator. Super simple install. Let's get right to it. I'll show you how to install it with just some basic tools. So here's the basic tools needed to install the brake light flasher. Electrical tape's gonna come in handy. I'll show you what that's all about. Various screwdrivers, including a T30 Torx driver. And most important, you'll need an electrical combination crimper and wire stripper cutter. Doesn't necessarily need to look like this, but you could find, you know, regular wires. You can find regular crimpers pretty easily at places like Harbor Freight or Home Depot. We're gonna go ahead and install this on this 2023 Vespa GTS 300 Super. It's pretty much the same steps for any of the 300 Vespas. And I'll show you some of the differences if you're gonna install it on a 150 or a 50cc scooter, you know, such as the Primavera Sprint. But it's all pretty much the same steps. Even if you're putting this on something other than a Vespa, gotta take the license plate frame off on these 300s. But essentially, we just need to gain access to the wiring behind the taillight. So no matter what model you're gonna put this on, it can be any type of scooter, the first thing you need to do is get access to the taillight. So I got the license frame out of the way, and right underneath here is a single Torx screw that retains the taillight. So I'm using the T30 driver. Go ahead and pull that out. Has a washer there as well. And then you just take some extra care and pull the taillight away from the body. And I'll turn that around so the camera can get it. There's a single connector right here. And just go ahead and lift on the tab. The tab's located at the bottom, and pull the connector out. So I'm pulling the tab away and pulling the connector out. So on the Vespa taillight and brake light, there's 3 colored wires. They're pretty universal across all the modern automatic Vespas. You got the black, that's pretty obvious. That's gonna be your ground connection. You have the yellow with a black stripe. That's your running light. We're not gonna need to touch that wire because running light just stays on when you turn the ignition on. And then you have the white with the black stripe, and that's the wire we want to gain access to. There's not much exposed right here, so sometimes you can pull the sheathing away, or you could just carefully take a knife, maybe cut back, you know, 1/2 inch, 12 centimeters or millimeters here, and now you have a little bit more of the wire. And we have the electrical tape to kind of make a repair. Now here's the part that kind of scares everybody, but it's, believe me, it's not too scary. I'm gonna get my wire cutter in there. It can be any type. You can just use a diagonal. And we're gonna cut that white wire with the black stripe. So go ahead and cut that, make a splice right there, and use your stripper. If you have the fitting for 20 gauge, that's the size of the wire that they use. So 20 gauge, go ahead and strip, I would say about 1/4 inch off each of the wire. So we're stripping the insulation away, and you can see just the copper behind. So in the brake light modulator, it comes with all the crimp terminals that are needed to have a successful install. And these are called bullet connectors, or butt connectors sometimes. And just go ahead and grab a male and a female one. The female one obviously has a receptacle on it. The male one, I'm not gonna explain what it looks like. So here's what I do. For the taillight connection, we'll do the male right here. So just go ahead and put that right over the wire. Take your combination stripper and crimper and go to the crimper that's for insulated wire terminals. Get it right over about that area, not You know, that's where the metal is. And go ahead and squeeze, and pretty much squeeze as tight as you can go. And then give it a little tug. Make sure it doesn't pull off. And do the same with the female on the wiring that's coming from the scooter frame itself. And again, get your crimp tool in there, don't pinch your fingers, and make sure it crimps over that copper wiring. Give it a little tug. And the best part of this mod, say you don't want the brake light modulator, you have a problem with it ever, you could just bypass it, plug that back in, put the taillight back on. It's going to work as just a normal brake and taillight there. So next we're going to take the modulator and prepare it for installation. So there's a couple terminals that are going to be needed. This is a Splice connection, Scotch lock. I would say it's safe to use in this situation because it's kind of protected from the road debris, but you pretty much just straddle over to black wire, and then you fold this over, and you could take either a set of pliers or this combination needle nose or whatever, it's kind of all in one tool, and just give it a good squeeze, and it locks the tab, and that's on there really tight. Now you have 3 remaining terminals with your brake light modulator. Optional, if you did want to cut these wires a little shorter, you could do so. But we'll start with the black wire. And you can see they have a small amount stripped. I would recommend cutting that off and then stripping with the 20 gauge setting on your stripper, about a 1/4 inch back. So on the black wire, we're going to go ahead and put this 1/4 inch quick connect. And it's kind of a purple color. And again, with the crimp tool, just give it a crimp. And the remaining 2 wires, we'll leave the white alone for now. I'll talk about that later. We're going to go ahead and cut a little bit off those, strip them about a 1/4 inch on each one, the red one and the yellow. So the yellow, we're going to go ahead and put the female on there. So that's the style that's going on the yellow wire. So on the yellow wire, give it the good crimp, give it the tug, make sure it's good. Red, pretty much the same thing that I've done 5 times now here. So got those all together, and at this point we can plug it in and give it a test. So the ground connection, the red wire to the scooter frame, make sure they're pushed in all the way so the insulation of these terminals hides any of the metal of the terminal, so you don't have a short or anything. And at this point, we'll go ahead and plug the taillight in just temporarily. And you may want to have a rag if you're going to step away from it. We're going to give it a test just to see what happens. So go ahead and turn the key on. Taillight comes on perfect. And there you go. So just in a standard setting, it's at the fastest strobe rate. So before we button this all up, I'll show you how to program the strobe rate. And after this, I'll show you some of the subtle nuances of installing this on a Primavera or Sprint. So I told you we need some electrical tape. It's going to be for 2 reasons. I'm actually going to use 1 layer of electrical tape to hold the brake lever. So just like that, and you just give it a quick pull, and now the brake is stuck on. And that's for putting it in the programming mode. Of course, there's 21 ways to skin the cat. You could put a Velcro strap or a rubber band or a zip tie, anything, or have a friend hold the brake lever, or try to use 2 hands. But got the electrical tape. Let's go back to the tail light, and I'll show you the programming wire. So we'll turn the ignition on. You can see the brake light stuck on. You have this remaining white wire, and you could either use alligator clip, or you could just extend this. And the only thing all you got to do with this to put it in programming mode is the engine case. So all the aluminum on the engine case, not this plastic belt cover, is a ground. And each time you tap it, you get a different blink rate. So slow, super fast, a little slower, and pick the rate you like the best. And ideally, the faster rates are better for a LED taillight or brake light combination unit like this. You may want to go with a slower rate for an incandescent older style. But that's kind of the slowest one. or there's the slowest, and then we'll go very slow. That's way too fast. Just pick something that's good. Like, I kind of like that right there. That's where it gets somebody's attention. And just go ahead and get rid of the wire, and it's all programmed. So next time you turn the ignition off, it's gonna, you know, remembers that setting. So go ahead and take another small section of the electrical tape, or you could actually take it off the brake lever, and if you wanted to reuse it. And all you gotta do is just put a small amount of electrical tape over that ground terminal. And you can just put that away. You're not gonna ever need that unless you wanna reprogram it. We'll go ahead and turn the ignition off, and we'll go ahead and button this all back up. So I have it all plugged in there. There's just this little device is just compact enough to kind of get it right in this pocket, kind of underneath this bracket right here. And you may need to just move it around a little bit to find the best spot, or even use some of the electrical tape to kind of tape it in place. You don't want it to be holding the taillight, you know, off the bodywork. So just, we'll see if it closes up. Obviously it's holding up just ever so slightly, so we'll find another little spot to hide that little device. And actually, an ideal spot is just right above where the connector is. I think it will be pretty good. There you go. So it's compact enough that it's not in the way, and it's concealed in that pocket where the wiring is. Put the screw back, put the license back on, and we'll see how this all works here. So on a newer Primavera Sprint, they have a taillight looks like this, and directly in the center of the taillight behind the frame is a knob, and you could stick your hand up above the tire and feel that knob. Sometimes the knob's rather tight. You may want to get a little wrench on it. Obviously you got to feel your way around, and you may need that just to break it loose. Alternatively, it does have a T25 Torex driver in the middle. So go ahead and reach under there with a little T25 Allen key, or like a wrench will do the trick as well. Go ahead and loosen it, and then at this point, I'm just unscrewing that by hand. And just like the GTS taillight, there's some friction clips. There's the little fastener that holds it. And just grasp the taillight and carefully pull it away from the bodywork. And it's got friction clips. They do usually have quite a bit of force on them. And once you separate that, you'll see just like the Vespa GTS 300, you got a yellow with a black wire, and you also have the white with the black wire and the black wires. So all the black wires are the same. The wire you're going to be splicing is this white with black wire. So it's exactly the same steps, just removing the taillights just slightly different. And of course that module fit under there just fine. All right, so it's all installed. Showed you the subtle nuances installing on a Primavera Sprint. If you're installing on an older LX or older GTS, you can look at some of my past videos. I show how to dismantle the taillight, brake light on those. Same wire colors, there's nothing confusing under there. Real simple to do, and all you need is this MI 101B found on the Scooter West web store. We always have them in stock. Pretty inexpensive, a very, very high quality product, actually made in USA. I've tried several other ones. This is the only one that's small enough that easily fits in the whole entire brake light assembly that's in pretty much any of these modern Vespas. You could put this on other models as long as you have a brake light that's operated off a battery. It'll work fine. You may need to do a little discovery on the wire colors. For instance, if you want to put it on a buddy. Brake light's DC on a buddy, but the taillight's actually alternating current, so it would still work on a buddy. Or just any scooter or your car or whatever. See you on the next one. This is a robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com. Thanks for watching, and if you're looking for anything else, help you out with your modern or vintage Vespa, just type Vespa Motorsport on the YouTube search, and you'll see our channel. I have over 500 different videos, or I think 600, all how-tos, accessories, all sorts of fun stuff for your Vespa. See you on the next one.